Okay, let me erase this one. All right, today we're going to do a very, very simple problem, and we're going to use this problem to explain the whole process as an introduction to coding, okay? The problem is that you have to code metabolic encephalopathy, okay? Very simple. Somebody comes to you and says, can you please code in ICD-10 metabolic encephalopathy, okay? So the first thing that you have to do is find which is the main condition here, right? We're gonna code, this is a diagnosis, which means that there's something wrong with the body, there's a disease in the body, and we're gonna code that disease. So the key is a little medical terminology. Pathy means disease. So encephalopathy would be, and encephalo means brain, so encephalopathy means disease of the brain. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and find a disease of the brain. And this is just a type of disease of the brain, okay? So the process is very simple. Once you identify the main word, encephalopathy, you go to this book. I'm going to show you this book right here. And then you open it to the index part, which is at the beginning, and this is alphabetically, right? The index is alphabetically. And then follow me here, because we're going to do it this step by step. This is what I just did. Go to the index, okay? In the index, it is alphabetically. You go to the E part, right? And you find encephalopathy there. You find encephalopathy, right? Now, below encephalopathy, there are subcategories, with a little indentation to the right, and then you're going to look for metabolic there. So you found encephalopathy, then you go to metabolic. Once you find metabolic, you're going to find this code, G93.41. You would think, okay, I found my code. No, that's not the final step, because you have to check. You always have to check in another section of the book that is called the tabular. How do you check in the section of the book that is tabular is after the index, and it lists in very detailed format all the diseases in alphanumerical order. So it starts with the A, A1, A2, and then B, C, and then the way to check in the tabular is you grab the first three characters, G93, okay? So you go to tabular. Let me show you how tabular looks. This is the index, right? This is the part of the index, and the tabular, it starts after that, more or less. There's some tables there. This is the tabular. You see that the colors there, the colors and the tabular. For instance, this is E04, and then E05, and then E05.1, and so forth. So this is alphanumerical order, okay? So once you go to the tabular, here it says, go to tabular, right? You start with G93, the first three characters, G93. So you go to G93. You read the definition there, and you more or less confirm that you're on the right path. In this case, it says other diseases of brain, right? Which is, we have a brain disease here, which is more or less what we're looking for, so we're okay. And then you keep going character by character. G93.4, the other one says something with encephalopathy. And the last digit would be 1. You keep going there, G93.41, and then you find metabolic encephalopathy. This is a confirmation of this code, of this one that you find in the index. Once you have the confirmation, then the answer is just the code that you find first, which is G93.1. That's the whole process. Now, there are some exceptions and some rules and some little details that you have to learn on the way. But if you want to code, this is the whole process. And now Stephanie is going to do the whole thing over again, so you can see it, how it's done with the actual book. Okay, while I hold the camera. All right, so while Stephanie is putting the book ready, I'm going to remind you that the problem is metabolic encephalopathy, and then this is the path for the index. We're going to go to the index, then we're going to go to encephalopathy, and then we're going to go to metabolic, and we're going to find this code. So, Stephanie, you ready?
Right.
Okay, she opens the book.
Goes to the index.
All right.
And go to encephalopathy.
She goes to the E, right? A, B, C, D, E, right? E, and then she finds encephalopathy, right there. Now, she's going to find the subcategory, which is indented to the right of metabolic, right?
Right. So we go all the way
it's alphabetically, you go all the way down
to M, metabolic.
Right? Now, there's a code after metabolic that is G93.41. Now, you could go to another subdivision if you had more information, drug-induced or toxic, but you don't have that information. So you stop there at metabolic, right? So we found the first code, which is G93.41 here. G93.41 here, right? Okay, now the second step is to check in the tabular. So we're going to check in the tabular. Now, let me remind you that the tabular is you go to the tabular section, you go to G93, which are the first 3 digits, and then from then you keep adding digits until you check all of them, right? So Stephanie's going to do that. She goes to the tabular, which is the color section, and this is in alphanumeric order, right? So for instance, show me the one before so they can understand that is alphanumerical. What is this? G90, for instance, right?
Right.
G90
is disorders of autonomic nervous system.
Right, and then we have G91 here. So it keeps growing. You see G91, and we're looking for G93. So G93 would be right here. Other disorders of brain. And if you remember that encephalo is brain for encephalopathy, so you think that you're in the right path. Now let's add one more digit. What is the next digit?
No, G93.4.
0.4. Okay. Let's see if we're still on the right path. It says other and unspecified encephalopathy. There we have the exact word, encephalopathy, right? So we keep adding other digits. Let me just remind you there. We're in 4. We're going to keep the 1 now. Okay? Now, the 1. After 4, there's a 1. There it is. It says metabolic encephalopathy, right? And in case that you're wondering, or in case the text says septic encephalopathy, is the same thing, is the same code. But in our case, it just says metabolic encephalopathy, so that's the confirmation. So the confirmation was that it is G93.41, which is the code that we found here, and we checked with the tabular that that's the right code. And as a last resort, we're going to go to the book and check the book. Where's the book? Right here, right? Metabolic encephalopathy is the problem, and the answer is G93.41. That's all there is to coding, and thank you for watching, and we finish this with an invitation to our website. Thanks again.